really appreciative of innovation myself. I really was very moved and transfixed by your music. And I'm so glad I bought that cassette. So Burnt Dot, and you guys are from Arkansas and LA. Are you originally Californian?
I'm from Toronto, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay. You're Canadian. That's wonderful. Okay. As is Arkansas.
As is Arkansas.
So my son's already a fan. He knows you're Canadian. But, okay. So how long have you guys played together?
4 years?
3.5, almost 4 years.
Okay. How did you come across each other? Was it musically or socially or?
Yeah, we were going to school together. Right? Doing at Cal Arts. Both doing our master's degrees there.
Okay. In experimental music or in trumpet?
Yeah, I was just doing trumpet. I mean, Cal Arts is a really kind of unique school. So I went in to do a trumpet degree, but I did everything and a trumpet degree. So But anyway, we met just by being in the same place, and we were really interested in playing. Ryan was playing primarily modular synth at the time, and I was just getting into working with electronics, and so it seemed like a really cool kind of pairing to explore together.
Yeah, simultaneously I was getting out of playing the trumpet because I don't know, I felt there were a lot of people who could kind of do that better than me and do the things I liked about the trumpet far better than I could. So I met her about the time I decided to kind of quit that and focus on other things. So it was nice kind of continuing to have that sound palette available, but
that's great.
Far more extended than I ever could have done. So
and innovative. Okay, I don't mean to spoil your humility and privacy, but Amy Reid told me that you recently won an award. Sarah?
Oh, I did.
What was that for?
Well, I can't believe it's called the Pamela Z Award for Innovation.
Oh, wow.
And it was actually had nothing to do with my trumpet playing or anything like that. It's an award that I got at a conference that is dedicated to like building new tech in, new interfaces, new instruments, inventing things for musical performance. And I went there to talk about like issues of diversity in the field because
excellent.
There are issues.
There are, and I've noticed that too as an events organizer and whatnot myself, and especially even in the noise community. There's so much brilliant stuff being made by mostly men, and so it's really neat to see collaborative efforts that incorporate women and women leaders in the arts as well as men,
and all of those things. So it was just basically I went there to showcase a whole bunch of amazing work that had been made by these people, by women, and a little bit of my own work. I did demo my trumpet that I played, that you saw me play today. I did a little presentation on that as well. But that's what that was for. So basically it's an award that's given to someone in the music technology field who's trying to, open discussion around diversity and that kind of stuff.
Progressing the field.
I guess so.
Yeah, I like that. That's awesome. So where does your sound, where does the inspiration come from for your music? I'm just going to ask that general question and ask you guys to run with it.
It's a big question. I think generally we're both just curious about sounds and have kind of accumulated a number of instruments and techniques over the years to kind of spontaneously explore how a sound can kind of progress within its own life. So everything we do is improvisational for the most part, or at least improvisation with some minor form of structure around it. As regards the trumpet and the interface we're using with it, it has to do with kind of collecting performance data from an instrumentalist that's already there and doesn't necessarily do anything for the instrument itself, but could be used in order to be turned into performative data, I guess.
Yeah, extra musical material. Like, for example, my hand tension around the trumpet as I'm holding the trumpet. That's something that is like inherent to me, holding and playing the trumpet, moving the slides. But the interface that we built actually senses that data, like so it senses the hand tension and the pressure, and then that gets sent over to my computer, which can be used to dial in, you know, in and out effects on processing, or it can be used to trigger entirely new things. So basically, like, extends my ability to produce sound from being just an acoustic sound maker into now like this electronic acoustic.
Yeah, and often, yeah, and you know, a lot of people who augment instruments, they throw a bunch of sensors on it in order to perform intentional actions, but most of the stuff we're doing with the trumpet involves collecting information from unintentional actions, or just taking data that, you know, results from just using the instrument and turning it into something musical.
What do you mean by unintentional versus intentional actions?
Well, you know, part of playing the trumpet involves, you know, obviously moving valves and such. But the end musical goal of moving your fingers isn't to move your fingers, it's to produce a note. But the movement of the fingers can itself be captured as information to inform another process. Or the tension of the hand can be captured to inform another process other than, you know, what it serves typically. So a lot of the electronic processing with the trumpet is
Thank you.
Is essentially generative. So just by virtue of playing the trumpet, a ton of information is produced, which is then repurposed in different ways. And we don't always know exactly what the result is going to be, because different forms of data interact with one another and influence one another by virtue of the software we're using.
Interesting. And is that software you guys created?
It is, yeah.
And did you also create that electronic? Okay, so you told me before the electronic device that I saw on your horn is called MIGSI.
Yeah, it's called MIGSI. It's actually an acronym.
Okay. What does it stand for?
It stands for Minimally Invasive Gesture Sensing Interface.
Beautiful.
So it's kind of, actually, when you get down to it, really a really dorky thing, but MIGSI is just this wonderful creature now that
it's taken on a life of its own. It's its own collaborator.
It's its own collaborator. It really is.
And so what's the website for MIGSI?
MIGSItrumpet.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and that just has some info about what MIGSI is, some recent videos. We try to keep it updated with recent projects. Also ways to get in touch with us, ways to support the project.
Neat.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. And what about, and I'm going to ask you in a minute about your, the instrumentation you were using.
Sure.
I had one other question. I noticed you really doing diverse things that I've never seen people do with a trumpet before on stage, like removing the mouthpiece and talking and breathing kind of through that, or almost talking and almost breathing, vocalizing.
Yeah.
When did this come about, and why?
Yeah.
Why is this?
Good question. I think, my background as a trumpet player is as I was trained classically to be an orchestral trumpet player, and very straight and narrow kind of training. And when I started to work with electronics and collaborate in this duo and other types of improvisation-based ensembles, I was really encouraged by a couple people to just kind of find my own voice. I was coming out of this practice that was based in repertoire, so you as the performer, you're playing other people's music, and it's wonderful music, but you're always kind of trying to do justice to someone else's voice, essentially. And I struggled with that, I think, a little bit. And then when I started to improvise, I was really encouraged to kind of just find my own voice, and it didn't matter what it was, and it's different every moment and different every day. And there was something about that was really liberating and wonderful to me. And then I kind of started to realize that the trumpet, as an instrument, is not where my voice stops. You know what I mean? So I have my whole body and my breath and the voice I'm using right now.
I noticed that. I sensed that. I totally.
All of that kind of stuff. And then the trumpet is an amplifier for that, and so is the microphone, and all of these things just kind of become part of it. So it's been this process over many years, I guess, I've been exploring, but sometimes when I play shows with the trumpet, people come up to me afterwards and like, do you actually play the trumpet? Because all you just did was like...
Do you even know how to play the trumpet, lady?
All you did was like make kind of squawky sounds through it.
Squawky sounds.
But I take that as a compliment, yeah.
Yeah. Like it's that.
Yeah.
You've explored it's almost, in art history we study, or we appreciate also folk art, or what's called naive art or art brut, and the unique traditions of representation or composition or materials.